Hello, and happy 2026. Happy New Year to everybody. I am Matt from the TeknoAXE royalty-free music channel, and this is a end of year 2025 questionnaire video. A couple weeks back, I was on the YouTubes and asked you guys to ask me questions so I can make this sort of video. It's been a while since I've done one of these. It's been since really 2020 that I've actually spoken to you guys in this sort of manner. So I figured it would be a good time as any to do this kind of thing right now. Also, I wanted to give my heartfelt thanks for your continued support over the years. I know a lot of things are changing. Everything is pretty much changed since like 10 years from now. But it's nice to see that a lot of you guys still care about the music and about the art that I've been putting out for the last really 15 years. It's been 15 years since this channel has started doing the royalty-free music project, and it's been a wild ride. Obviously, things have changed, but I still enjoy making the music and seeing your reactions and seeing how you use the music in your videos as well. And before I get to the questions, I just wanted to give you guys a little quick update on what's happening with the channel, where I'm going and where I expect to be kind of at the end of 2026. Last year, I kind of took a small break. I would say my music was slowing down the previous year, and about January or March, I decided to put down the instruments for a while and just take a break. I needed the break, and also I needed to figure out what my strategy was going forward in terms of making new music. I had an older computer that I was using. I had built that computer in 2016, and it was a great computer, but at the time last year, it was really beginning to show its age. It was old, it was not handling any of my musical plugins, and it was just really running slow and not processing anything correctly. So I had to take a break. I was a little discouraged, but in June, I basically built a new computer. This thing is like a fish tank, let me tell you. It's bigger than twice the size of my last computer. It's got a glass top on it, and you can see right through it. You can see the innards. It's really fancy. But like, I built this computer to be able to handle the kind of music that I want to produce in the future. And hopefully it's future-proofed up until the next 10 years as well. And then, after all of that, after the assembly of this new PC, I kind of got into the binge session of purchasing new VST synthesizers, instruments, and actually effects as well. In the past, I've relied on a couple of synthesizers really heavily, with some other like alternative synthesizers to do a couple of patches. Mostly Serum and also Massive are the ones that I knew the most. And then with synthwave as a genre, I relied really heavily on Spire, and specifically a couple of patches on Spire. And that was basically my signature sound for synthwave at the time, is those couple of patches that there was like one patch named Legacy and the other one named I forgot what it was, but it was basically I was relying on those to provide the synthwave sound. Now I've expanded my soft synth collection from probably 4 or 5 to a few hundred. As a result, I have a lot of tools that I can use to create new sounds, and instead of relying on any sort of patches, I am planning on learning all of those synthesizers, or at least the majority of what I have in my collection, to be able to provide new sounds, old sounds, any sort of sounds that you can imagine. All of this is going towards sound design, improving that part of my music production, as well as improving my music theory and writing of notes and my composition as well. My plan is to provide you with a lot of new material next year, and to do so, I'm going to be writing both tracks that you can dance to and bop your head to, but also tracks that are more suited to the backgrounds of your videos as well. So I hope you enjoy the ride. Here's to a great 2026 of music production. John W. Bruce asks, is there a genre that you haven't played in yet that you would like to try someday? I would say jazz. Jazz is one of the first music genres that I've actually played in. I was actually a trombonist in my jazz band in high school, and so I had a little bit of experience in those days playing jazz music, and so it would be really nice to kind of delve back into that someday. Certainly it would be a change up in my genres. It would add to the variety of music that I already host, and so yeah, it would be definitely beneficial for my channel to do so. Jazz is somewhat of a unique genre. The musical theory is a little bit more different than such things as rock and roll, metal, and even classical. The theory revolves more around minor scales and chords and really complex chord structures. So I would probably have to go around and, learn those topics very thoroughly before I tackle them in my channel, just because I want to do the genre justice before presenting to you guys. Also, the instrumentation is a little bit more questionable when trying to, do jazz in a very authentic way. And when I'm talking about authentic, I'm talking about, the 1930s and 1920s swing and Dixieland and things like that. Specifically, I view the challenge of getting the instrumentation right, sounding right, basically, the horns and the drums and the bass is somewhat of a blocking force for me right now. I would have to figure out exactly what I would need to do to be able to simulate a real jazz band without actually having a jazz band. Yo Rob Tips TV says cheese, and I would say Swiss all the way. Juveline12789 asks me what my favorite video game OST is. Right now I don't really play a whole lot of video games. I don't really have the time, but when I do play Star Citizen, and they have a pretty good soundtrack. It's more on the synth-wavy, retro future kind of side of things. The synthesizers that they use in their compositions are really beautiful and really interesting. Also, after all this time, I still have a soft spot for the Fable 2 soundtrack, way back from 2009. There's a lot of really eerie and creepy and really pretty kind of soundscaping that is done in that game to go with the backgrounds of your gameplay. Facility Films YouTube asks, could you make more dramatic movie music? I do definitely plan on making more movie-like music in 2026, and in specifically, I'm assuming you mean more like soundtracks or things that you could put in the backgrounds of movies and video games as well. I described earlier in this video how I was accruing more synthesizers and more tools and effects for like music production. And one of the reasons for doing so is to produce music more like this. Recently, I posted a track called Into the Swarm, which is kind of movie-like. It's kind of got a soundtrack going for it. It doesn't have any sort of melody at all, and it's very, very suited towards being in the background of some sort of video game or movie. The emphasis was more about sound design and providing a new audio canvas that can be interesting to somebody's ears. And thus, I didn't really focus on any sort of music theory or melody. Instead, it was more about the ambience and the textures of the air, which is a real big departure from what I usually do. It's pretty fun and interesting, and it's what I consider a first step into more movie-like music, more dramatic, more soundscapey-ish, things like that. Damped Wall 1031 asks, what gave you the idea to try out short form style of music this year? Short form videos actually gave me the excuse to resurrect my loops section. A musical loop is basically a short piece of music that you can loop end to end without having a noticeable difference. In editing terms, this would be a track that you could copy and paste multiple instances of and line them up on a time scale end to end, and it would be a continuous form of music without any sort of interruption. This would mean that you can actually have music in the background of your video game or video and extend that music for as long as you like or as short as you like and not have any interruptions in between. If your video is longer than the loop provided, just copy and paste another instance of loop and line it up with the first instance, and you will have a seamless transition between the end of the first transition and the start of the second transition. The other thing is that the short form content gives me kind of a platform to experiment on and do things that I normally would not do in the main sections of my YouTube channel. I have a lot of single synth loops that are not as complex at all. They're really simple. And I imagine that you could use this stuff as something that you can talk over rather than the complex stuff that I usually provide. This also provides me a platform to learn new synthesizers and experiment with new sounds that wouldn't necessarily go with anything else on my roster. 00 Agent 0012 asks, I've got 3 questions. Okay. 1. What keeps you motivated to release songs every week? I would say that it is something that I do. I've been very passionate about music since I was very little. My favorite musical score when I was 5 was the William Tell Overture, which is a very exciting piece still. I played the trombone in 5th grade up until the end of high school, and I've been playing guitar since 2000. In between all that, I've enjoyed a lot of different types of music, and I've always wanted to try my hand in all of them. I really do enjoy the process of creating music and seeing what I can come up with in the way of sound design. Have you ever played the harpsichord? I may have played a harpsichord once or twice in a track on my channel. I'd have to look it up, but not technically, and let me explain. I don't actually play the keyboard, or at least not until recently. Historically, a lot of my compositions have basically been editing through the piano roll in my DAW. And part of my arsenal for music production have been the musical sample libraries from places like Contact and also East West Music. And these sample libraries give me somewhat realistic control over instruments like violins, pianos, and even harpsichords, yes. I have recently gained quite an interest in playing the keyboard. Recently I got this Akai MPK Mini, which is a MIDI controller, which allows me to control these instruments in a piano sort of style. I got this initially because it's easier to do sound design pressing the keys of a MIDI controller rather than trying to click on a piano roll while editing parameters on your synthesizer or sampler instrument. I've actually found that this controller is really useful in generating chords and writing music in ways that you normally wouldn't do just writing in notes in your piano roll. So much so that I'm actually getting another MIDI controller. This one only has 2 octaves, and the one that's on the way is actually 4 octaves, which will allow me to actually play more like a piano player does with a little bit of practice. And so, in addition to hopefully being a good guitar player, I will have a little bit of piano skills down the line, and this will help me improve my production skills and writing skills for music immensely. And then maybe I can get back to you on the harpsichord. What was your favorite series of your music? Personally, it's between Up Until Your Engine Stops series and the Basic Metal series or the Waypoints. Well, thank you very much. For me, I would say it is definitely the Until Your Engine Stops series. On a thematic scale and tone-wise, it's the most consistent project I think that I've ever done. For that series, I was going for a post-apocalyptic Mad Max kind of style there. In my head, I had visions of like demolition derbies, also Borderlands and Fallout, and as the series progressed, I hope that tone was very consistent throughout. In the future, I may try to do more from that series. It's up for grabs, but it all depends on me just basically getting up to speed on guitar playing so I can actually match what I did back then. Montana Horseman asks, I was wondering if you ever looked back at the large amount of music you've put out there and viewed it as a timeline for your life, skills, passing, and new musical stages and such. I don't know about a timeline per se, but it is really an interesting exercise to go back in time in my head and just think about how things have changed since I've started this channel. YouTube has changed, the culture has changed, genres have changed immensely. It's just wild to think about where we started in like 2010 and where we are now at 2026. Back then it was dubstep, drum and bass, electro, and glitch hop. And now I don't really know what I am at this point. I'm basically a mix of all those things. But I feel like my mixing and my composition is more eclectic and more weird, more experimental than what I was back then. So yeah, I definitely look to the past a little bit to kind of gain perspective of where I'm at right now. But right now I'm also focused really on the future and what I can learn and how I can improve in order to give you guys the best music possible. Ferocium123 asks, can you make more electro swings? They are so good. I'm using several of yours in my videos. I absolutely do plan on making more electro swing in 2026. I do have to locate some of the files that were in my old computer. I have a folder of really old swing music from the 30s and the 20s. I need to transfer those files from my old computer to my new one, and then I need to kind of sift through all of them and see what is actually doable in terms of making them into very funky and very danceable pieces of music. There are a lot of hidden gems in there, but there are also some very slow pieces and pieces that wouldn't quite fit the mood of electro swing. I want to actually try to do this in either Reaper or some other platform other than Reason though. In the past, I've done all my electro swing tracks in Reason, and I could probably do that again, but I really want to try to move away from that platform, mostly because I don't really use that platform at all for any of my other genres as well. I would do it in Reaper, but I'm wondering if Bitwig or Ableton Live would be a better platform to try to do that kind of thing. And really what I'm looking at mostly is the time that you have to spend to time correct a lot of these old-timey tracks. They're not really tempoed very consistently. There's a lot of drift in tempo between one time and the next. And I don't know that Reaper is the correct platform to do that kind of time stretch. I could do it in Reason, but I'm really curious as to how Bitwig would actually handle that kind of thing. If I understand correctly, Bitwig is more suited to electronic dance music than Reaper is. In any case, yes, I do definitely plan to make more electro swing in the future. And that is my question and answer video for the end of 2025. I would like to once again thank everybody for your support for this channel. I had a really good time making music for you guys in the latter half of this year. I did take that pause at the beginning of the year, but I think that was for the good. And even though it kind of hurt me in the algorithm, it really was something that I needed to do before continuing on my music. And really, that's what matters to me the most. The quality of the music that I put out, exploring new sonic possibilities and new compositions, and seeing how you guys can use this in your videos and your productions. Thank you once again for an excellent 2025, and I will see you in 2026.